Leader running the meeting today. Jackie?
Thanks, Ed. Thank you for joining us today, Jamie. I know that you've always asked us to call you Jamie, but during the intro, I'm just going to call you State's Attorney. Okay.
Sounds good.
All right. So it's nice to have you here as our new State's Attorney. We can't wait to hear some of the things that you have to say and to give you a little bit more information about ourselves. So first, I'd like to tell you who the Fox River Valley Initiative is. We're 9 religious and civic institutions organized across Kane County. We're an affiliate of the Industrial Areas Foundation, or IAF, part of the oldest and largest network of broad-based citizen organizations in the country, with over 65 organizations in the United States, the United Kingdom, Germany, Canada, and Australia. Fox River Valley is a member of the Chicago Metro IAF, with organizations in Cook, Lake, DuPage, and Kane counties. We're primarily funded by our member institution dues. We don't accept public money. We're fiercely nonpartisan and work with all public officials of goodwill. However, each affiliate organization is also unapologetically dedicated to building relational power, organized people, and organized money to address the issues impacting the people within our institutions and local geographic areas. So let's get to know each other a little bit with introductions. If you're not a presenter today, please sign into the chat with your name and your institution. Those of us who are presenters will tell you who we are and one sentence of why we're excited for this meeting. And Jamie, you can follow up, introduce yourself after we're all finished. I'll start. My name is Jackie Baker. I'm a member of Christ the Lord Lutheran Church in Elgin, and I'm excited to get to know you as the State's Attorney so we can continue working with your office to continue some of the things that have already been started and to just kind of get some of your ideas and work with you on those. So Rick?
I'm Rick Lathrop. My wife and I worship at the Congregational Church of Batavia, and I retired from the Illinois Education Association, so I still have a little bit of an affiliation with them. I'm excited about this meeting because this gives us a chance to deepen a working relationship with you, which is really important, we think, to both us and to you.
Okay, Stacy?
Hi, I'm Reverend Stacy Walker. I'm the rector of St. Charles Episcopal Church in St. Charles. And I am excited about being part of the continuing work of decriminalizing mental illness in our county and working to honor the dignity of all the citizens of our county. I'm excited to continue to do that work with you as well.
Sue?
I'm Susan Sechner from the First Congregational Church of Geneva, and I am also excited to work with the Attorney General's office and see what ideas you have that you would like to see promoted that we could possibly help you with.
Jackie?
I'm Jackie Hartley from the Highland Avenue Church of the Brethren in Elgin, a member institution. Heck, I've been excited since our candidate action in September when you talked with both a depth of knowledge, but also with real passion about many of the same issues that we're working on.
Carl?
Hi, my name is Carl King. I'm with Metro IAF. I actually organized 4 affiliates on criminal justice and mental health situations, as well as having a vibrant family behind me. And I'm really excited to connect the dots on a lot of the different programs and opportunities that exist in Kane County, as well as DuPage County, and hopefully simplify, as well as kind of fix some of these systems.
Okay. Amanda?
Amanda Riley-Sokoli. I'm the full-time organizer with DuPage United, and so the partner organization with Fox River Valley Initiative, here as the Zoom master today and your guest, but excited about learning how we can continue to work together on some of these issues not just in Kane and DuPage County, but across the state, so we can improve the quality of life for all of our residents of Illinois.
Okay. Again, the rest of you, please sign in to the chat so that we can find out who you are and where you're from. I'd like to have Rick open us up this afternoon.
Thank you. I'd like to just talk for a few minutes about what a crisis stabilization unit is, so that we're talking about the same thing. And then we'd like to hear your reaction to the possibility. There are a possibility of 2 crisis stabilization units in Kane County, one in Aurora and the other in Elgin. We're promoting that. We're promoting those because we know that a crisis stabilization unit will help emergency departments. Tremendous amounts of money are saved in hospitals where the patient is treated somewhere other than the ED. And we are interested in seeing that that money is then redirected to other meaningful mental health services. We know that this can be effective in reducing the population at the jail. We know that this can be effective in reducing the activity in your office because most people with a mental health crisis don't need to be part of the criminal justice system. They need some time to calm down, rest, maybe get back on medications, and then go back about their lives. And again, keep them out of the court system. We had a field trip several years ago to Rosecrans, which had a really high functioning. And when Joe McMahon heard that a police officer can take a person into a crisis stabilization unit, make sure that the person is calm, make sure everybody is safe, and then leave and go back to work, rather than sitting there in an ED where everybody is triaged before the person with the mental health crisis. His comment as we left there was, "I want one of these," because he could see the value to everybody immediately. So the mental health crisis, the crisis stabilization unit will be a 24/7 facility. It will be operated by mental health trained professionals. They will have access to psychiatrists. They will be able to prescribe medication if the problem that the person is having is they've gotten off their drugs. And they can direct the person into treatment. The jail can't do that. The hospital emergency department right across the hall can't do that. So we think the crisis stabilization unit or units will fit into your interest in pre-arrest diversion. Are we understanding what you're interested in? Is that a correct understanding?
Yes, that is a correct understanding. And one of my follow-up questions for that, and then I really want to talk to you about what I've been talking with about all the police departments, is have we looked to put one in at Delnor and Geneva also?
We've had conversations with Delnor. Ed, do you want to talk about that a little bit?
I could, but I wasn't part of those conversations. So I'm going to say I will look into it and get back to you, Jamie, if you'd like. But I don't want to speak out of turn, not knowing exactly.
That would be our heart's desire, because then we'd have one at the north end of the county, one in the south end, and one right in the middle.
Exactly. And so part of what my goal within the first 2 months is, and before I go too far, the sneezing lady behind me is Christine Baer. She is my first assistant state's attorney. So she is me in the event I decide to take a vacation. She has worked at this office for almost 24 years, has been in every division with the exception of child support, and has been a staunch advocate for victims during the entirety of the time. We had a trafficking statute that really was supposed to work with women who were in the sex trafficking, who were being trafficked sexually. She took that statute and she started trying cases to put these really bad people who were taking advantage of the women, got guilty convictions, and then the appellate court said that's exactly how you should be using it. So to say that I have surrounded myself with fantastic people just to make myself look better, frankly, it starts with her. So She is also a huge advocate of making sure that when we're working in the system that we're focusing on mental health issues, addiction issues, and lack of resources. So now I will segue into, my first 60 days, I wanted to talk to every person who works at the state's attorney's office. And then I wanted to meet with all of the police departments. I am pretty much done with the first portion of it. The second portion of it, we've started over the last couple of weeks. And I have to tell you, every single police department has asked us what we're going to do about people with mental health issues. And I have talked to them about these crisis stabilization units because I learned a lot of that from you before. And I talked about the fact that I'm going to be petitioning, I've had a lot of meetings today, so I'm sorry. I'm going to be petitioning our Kane County Board to get some more resources here. And one of those resources is going to be around mental health. We, as in the state's attorney's office, are responsible for civil commitment petitions and medication petitions in Elgin Mental Health Center, and then what's the hospital in Aurora that I'm blanking on? We're first assisted ever. So one of the hospitals in Aurora also. So that's our job to do, but we're not doing it. Thank you, Mercy.
That's in St. Mercy, right?
Thank you, Martha. You are
Mercy.
yes. So we're responsible for doing that, but what we have found is that the people that are in there, especially from the criminal justice system, are malingering. And the reason why they're doing that is because the doctors also stopped doing medication petitions. And the reason why they stopped doing medication petitions is the public defender who is in charge of those cases was causing these hearings to last 8 hours long, which is not what they should do. So now DHS has been involved. They're making all kinds of new programs there, and I need to get somebody who can specifically work on those issues. The second portion that deals into that is something that I talked about a lot during my campaign, and that's talking about a pre-arrest diversion program. Not only is it sending people to this, to the crisis stabilization units, it's making sure that the secondary involvement is not being arrested at some point. So what I'm having my budget looked at right now is I have 3 people that I would like to bring to this office, all of whom can begin that case management portion towards that pre-arrest diversion program. One of those individuals who I would like to make the lead of that is actually on the Zoom call as we speak, thankfully helping me out by telling me Mercy Hospital.
Yay, Martha!
Yes, so Martha, it would be an absolute, I don't even know what the word is to say. It would be our lucky advantage to have Martha because she's passionate and she knows exactly the resources that we're talking about. And so my goal is to have her be one of the first hires for that because she'll be the main coordinator, and then we'll also hire somebody for Aurora and Elgin, because that's what we need to start doing now. And the police departments are so thrilled with the possibility of us being able to provide that.
I just have one other question for you, and then Stacy will talk about CIT. Would you work with us to try to get Delnor more interested in a CSU?
Yes.
Because you have letterhead, that would be powerful.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
And yes, Ed, I will keep it short. See how I just did that?
Okay, Stacy.
Thanks, Jackie, and thank you, Rick, and thank you, Jamie. Well, that's a great segue into, to talk about pre-arrest diversion and to talking about crisis intervention team training. So our involvement with advocating for crisis intervention team training in Kane County began about 5 years ago. And in 2016 was when Sheriff Kramer and Joe McMahon in a meeting, Joe pledged $45,000 of his budget so that we could have crisis intervention team training specifically in Kane County. Prior to that, as you probably know, police departments could only sign up through a state program, and there was just such limited availability that nobody was being trained. So what crisis intervention team training is officers are trained to identify when a person is having a mental health crisis and learn techniques to calm the situation down. It's a relational based approach with the intention to divert to treatment and avoid arrest. And that's why the CSUs are such a critical piece to all this, because sometimes the person does need more than just a calming in place intervention. They actually need to go somewhere for further assessment and treatment. One thing that we haven't been able to determine is how successful this has been, or even exactly how many officers have been trained in CIT training so far. We would like to see consistency in training across the board and follow up with officers after training to continue to provide support and make this a successful program for the good of the people who would be served by it, as well as for the safety of the officers. Also, we would really like to see every officer in Kane County across all departments trained in CIT. So I thought that was very interesting that you said one of your goals was to meet with all the different police departments across Kane County. Big job. Applaud you for that. Let's see, what are my other notes here? Oh, we also know that there's other pieces of the puzzle needed to continue to work on this issue of decriminalizing mental illness. And so we'd like to know what you're working on, what you're excited about in this continuing conversation of working together in decriminalizing mental illness. I just recently watched the PBS documentary, The Definition of Insanity, about the program in Miami-Dade County. Have you seen that?
I haven't seen it, but I've heard about it.
Yeah, well, in your spare time,
yes,
you know, 55 minutes long. But one of the things that really stuck out for me that Judge Leifman said was mental illness is a community problem that requires a community solution. And he also several times kept saying, you know, mental illness can be treated, you know, and has a better recovery rate than a lot of other chronic illnesses, like even heart disease or diabetes. So that just stuck with me. So I'd love to hear your response.
Absolutely. So Sheriff Hayden and I have already started talking about the CIT training and also trying to modernize it a little bit so we can do things and record them so that way more people can have access to them, because that's part of the problem. The sergeants, the lieutenants, they come, but the street officers, who are the ones actually responding, don't get to see this. So that portion of our budget that has been dedicated towards that is actually going to be transferred to the sheriff's department, because he has the ability to put all of that on, but we're still assisting with everything.
Okay, great. Do we have any idea, like, how many officers, like percentage of officers that have been trained in our county, or?
I don't think so. I can get that number. I'll reach out to the prosecutor who is in charge of collecting that information, and I can let you know.
Okay, that would be great.
Of course.
Thank you.
At least 4 sections.
So go ahead.
I was gonna say, I want to say there were at least 4 week-long trainings for a while, and I mean, we had things up, and obviously COVID. So, and there might have been 5. I can reach out, but. And there were a number of officers who were at each of those. I mean, I know some of the difficulties we had was getting certification for the trainers. So it's not, we had to have certified trainers from the state, you know, who would come and do that. And sometimes it was just the coordination of that. I know we did get our program certified. We might have to redo it again, even with the sheriff, just because we have to have specific trainers to do that. But as far as I know, it's very well received by all the departments and all the people who participated in it. And I'm sure that someone around here has the exact numbers of how many people went through it. Right. So we can get that.
Great, thank you.
So you were saying you're not sure if the program's currently certified in Kane County or not? I didn't quite understand.
I'm just saying, I don't know if it lapsed. I don't know. I know it was certified. I mean, we had everything. I just don't know if there was a time frame, and obviously
Gotcha.
we haven't been able to put them on right now. So it was certified. I mean, it completely was certified. We had everything. Right. I just don't know the status right now.
Okay, that makes sense. Thanks.
Okay, Carl.
That's why you talk.
Hello, and thanks for listening to us and meeting with us. And it's been great so far. I hope all these wonderful meetings. Yeah, so I want to talk just briefly about affordable housing. Affordable housing is one of the foundations of safe and vibrant communities. Do we feel it's a public safety issue? It's a criminal justice issue, and as a result, we've adopted advocating for, organizing for, and helping to build affordable and supportive housing as one of our issues that we are organizing around for quite some time. Prior to the last state budget, we were able to get around 200 million allocated specifically for affordable housing. And just a few months ago, we met with State Senate President Don Harmon and talked with him about the 20 million that was advocated or allocated specifically to the Nehemiah Homes project in Chicago, both west, south, and North Lawndale. We're shooting for 3,000 homes that will have a huge impact on the community and so much else. So we're building relationships around affordable housing. We're doing a lot of work, and we know this is outside of your present purview. We understand that as state's attorney. However, we want you to understand that that I have kids in the background. No, we want you to understand that our approach isn't piecemeal, but it's an attempt to be holistic with regard to criminal justice, with regard to mental health, with regard to just building communities and neighborhoods that are both welcoming and safe and supportive for all of our residents. Does that make sense?
It does. And I mean, frankly, I think it is within our purview also. One of the things that I've been mentioning to the police officers is that I can, through a court order, send anyone I want to treatment, but it doesn't mean treatment isn't effective if the stressors in their lives are still continuing. And most of the time that's not having a roof over their head, not having food, not having a job, not having their kids because their kids are in DCFS custody. So to me, that's a big issue. And then I think it was all of you who showed me the statistic of how expensive it is just in Kane County to live. And that was really eye-opening because we're setting people up by failure, or we're setting people up for failure.
Yeah, it takes basically 2.5 full-time jobs at the current minimum wage, working like at 90 hours a week, I think is the current rate. But yeah, it's exorbitant. But I just want to really briefly give you kind of a scope of what we're working on. I mentioned the North Lawndale work we're doing, the South Chicago, the West Chicago with our affiliates out there, United Power. In Lake County, we did a project in Grays Lake that is existing. We're working in Libertyville. Shocker. No, not really. Actually, we've got community members that are coming together and saying, we've got to do something about our community, it being affordable, allowing the people that work here, our school teachers that are new, individuals that want to move away from their family but want to stay close as opposed and be responsive to them. So in Libertyville, Winchester House is a property we're working on. In Waukegan, we're working on a facility, and we also, about 1212 Alarcon. We mentioned that in our last meeting, and we want to invite you to come and visit the property one of these days. We're actually organizing a kind of a group to go out there. We met with Kane County Board Chair Corinne Parag a few days ago, and we're going to bring some board members and herself out there, so we'd like to have you there. But yeah, finally, I just want to bring up a potential opportunity. So you mentioned how important it is. Just a few months ago, Governor Pritzker signed into legislation basically the sunsetting of our current judicial system for juveniles as it is. And so IYC St. Charles is going to change in some way. It's going to change in some way. It currently receives quite a bit of funding. But I was sitting with the mayor last week, and he's organized a few people to come and talk about it, some state senators, House reps, the current head of the juvenile justice system, and some of the judges that you work with. And he said he'd like to have the city. Obviously, he's heading out, but he's conveying this to the new mayor, and the city wants to be involved. The Park District wants to be involved, and we want to be involved in helping to shape the future of IYC. And hopefully it can be something that could be affordable and supportive housing for our current residents of Kane County.
That's a fantastic idea.
So would you work with us on it?
Yes, 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 yes. I think that's great. But what will I now threaten my children with as I drive by the juvenile prison when I tell them that's where they're going to go if they keep it up? I'm just kidding.
Jamie, kids even my age were threatened with that.
Well, good.
It lives in infamy.
It sure does. And my kids don't believe me anymore because they never see anybody out there. I'm like, they're in there. I know.
There.
Okay. Susan Sechner, on our Do Not Stand Idly By.
Hi. So I am here to talk to you about Do Not Stand Idly By. It's the nationwide gun initiative that was created by Metro Industrial Area Foundation to help reduce gun violence through gun safety. I had brought this up at the meeting we met back in September, but what the whole initiative is for is to work on biometric or fingerprint locks to make sure only the owner can release the gun and fire them. Right now, currently 40% of gun sales are to law enforcement and military, and the organization consists of groups of mayors, police chiefs, and Sheriff Hain, our own Kane County Sheriff, was the first county sheriff to join the consortium at our request. He put in $5,000 of the county money to help join the initiative. This group is beta testing these locks to try and make sure they are 100% reliable before they become part of state-of-the-art gun production. The hope being that someday every gun in a household would have one on them and people would not be able to access the gun unless they were the designated person. We're inviting anybody in government, universities, hospitals, other not-for-profit groups to join the endeavor. In 2019, there was 1,900 accidental shootings and 12,000 guns were reported lost or stolen. So we feel like this is a great initiative to try and get people involved in and try and help increase gun safety, and anything we can do to make guns safer is a great idea. Thank you.
Agreed. I'll sign on. I don't have $5,000 though.
Ask Sheriff Haynes what he's doing.
I will. That guy and his budget, so much better than my budget.
Okay. So we are just about on time, or actually we have a little bit extra time. Does anybody else have any questions for State's Attorney Jamie Mosser?
Amanda, can you do me a favor and put that 1212 Larkin slide up? I just want to speak briefly to Jamie about that. You know, we'd like you to come and see that. We feel that that is the, not that one, the other one. Yeah, there you go. Nope, not that one, the other one. Yep. We, Amanda, myself, and another organizer gave tours about 2 weeks ago to board members of DuPage County and leaders of DuPage United. And everyone that came to that was just amazed at how beautifully this development sits into the Elgin neighborhood where it's located. You can see on the upper left of this picture, that's the old 1212 Larkin Orphanage and Social Services building. That has been kept. It is being restored beautifully inside. I was able to go inside when I was there in September. The upper right is an artist rendering or an architectural rendering of what the development's going to look like. And those are the actual buildings on the bottom. Right now, it's about a third occupied. It's 48 units, and they are accessible, affordable, supportive units. AID is involved in that. And I wish we had a picture of the homes across the street from there, because it fits in like a hand in glove. It's perfect. Everybody that sees it is just amazed at how beautiful of a development it is. And we'd like to see those spring up across Kane County. So the invitation that we're giving you to come and tour that, I'd like to do that sometime at the end of February. I'll get in touch with you, let you know what the dates are. And feel free to bring anybody you think would be interested in this. The both of you could come, of course. Corinne Pirog is going to come, and I will invite the entire Kane County Board. Board member Ron Ford was on the call Monday, and he was real impressed with it too. So just kind of keep that on your radar. Maybe the end of February we'll get there, and then we'll move onward from there.
Sure, I would love that.
Thank you.
Okay, great.
Anybody else with questions, comments?
Maggie?
One of the things I was hearing this summer a lot was how law enforcement views their job. Are they warriors protecting us, or are they guardians guarding us? And I don't know how you assess how they see their job or how you change their point of view, but I just think that's something we need to look at, whether it's CIT training or whether it's a whole different avenue.
I agree. And I think sometimes it's law changes too, because for the very long time, we created laws that told them that they were at war. It was a war on drugs. There was a war on poverty. Here's where you're going to go. And that's just where the training was, and that's where they were instructed to go. I can tell you, just talking to these chiefs, none of them want to go down that path. They're ready. A lot of them have already hired social workers at their facilities. So I think we're changing it. We just got to keep moving forward.
All right, thank you. Okay, Jackie Hartley.
So Jamie, those are the key issues that we're working on right now. And we do know that some of them are more directly within your work and some are more tangential to things you can tackle directly. But we at Fox River Valley are trying to approach these community issues holistically. And so that's why we want to keep you in the loop as to all the different things we're working on.
Please, I would appreciate that.
So what's next for us? Well, right now you're meeting with just a small group of leaders from Fox River Valley Initiative. We're going to go back to our broader community, back to our member institutions, and process and analyze and think through what we've heard in this conversation with you, and then come up with some ways that we see that we can help keep moving forward and making some of these shared ideas happen.
Right.
Give us like 30 days.
Sure, absolutely.
But then one of us, I don't know which one yet, we haven't figured that part out. One of us from this call is going to call you up and say, all right, we've done our homework as an institution and as member institutions. We want to schedule a meeting to get deeper into moving some of these things forward. So when you get a call from one of us in a month, will you schedule another meeting with us? And I see that I'm supposed to give you 10 minutes to respond, and that was a very brief 10 minutes. So I think that I'll open it up to you to a broader response on anything that you still want to touch on from this meeting.
I think it's good. I'm very much looking forward to the partnership that we will have together, and anything that I can do to help advance what I think are systemic issues that lead to criminal behavior, to eliminating those systemic issues that lead to criminal behavior, I'm on board with. So this is going to be one of many conversations. I'm looking forward to it. Hopefully the person that calls me may also be the person that works for me, because she has my cell phone anyway and she could just come see me when she works here. So I'm in. I'm 100% all in, and I'm trying to make sure that I'm surrounding myself with people who have that same message. So whatever I can do to help, I'm doing it.
Right.
Thank you.
So thank you so much, Jamie. And just remember, you're willing to help us. We are also willing to help you. So if there is an issue that you feel we need to take back to our congregations and our nonprofit organizations and our civic organizations, please let us know, because, you know, it's a two-way street, you know. So when we call you, you know, we want you to have some ideas in mind as well, you know, as to what we can work together on.
I will definitely. Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Well, we're pretty much done then. Jamie, thank you so much for coming today. We really, really appreciate your time. We can only imagine how busy you are in this new position that you're doing great at. What we usually do at this point is we stay on the call so we can do an in-house evaluation. That's what we're going to do now, but we'll be getting in touch with you, and thank you both for coming, and we'll see you again soon. Okay.
Thank you. Good to see all of you again.
And I promise I'll get this Zoom thing figured out by the next time we meet.
No problem. Thank you.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
So during her first comments, she was at about 6 minutes, and I texted Jackie Baker to ask her if she would like to tell her to kind of be concise in those, or if she wanted me to do it, and I sent it right to Jamie.
I didn't see that.
No, you didn't. She saw it though. Anyway. So
She
what
was
did everyone
gracious.
think of? Huh?
She was very gracious about it, though.
You know, this like every time we have her on a call, Carl, I do something. You know, I'm an idiot, and I told her that.
She's got a good sense of humor. She can take it well.
She does. She handles it very well, and I appreciate that. So, what did everyone think? What were the strong points of this action? Any comments? Just jump right in. What did you like?
All the presenters were succinct and they made their points clearly. And I thought her responses were positive.
Mm-hmm. What did you think of this format? It's a little bit different than what we did on Monday. Monday, we kind of all talked and then we let Corinne talk afterwards. This time it was a little more conversational. We kind of went back and forth. What do you think about that?
I think it worked very well.
I like the conversational.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
I think it makes more sense because she might only talk about the last stuff you guys talked about, whereas this gives her a chance to respond to each and every item. She may have forgotten what came up in the first part of the discussion. I wasn't on the last call, so I can't compare, but I think it makes sense to do it this way.
I agree wholeheartedly, Sue.
Stacy, what was that you like?
I agree with Sue.
Okay.
Ditto.
I do think that they were different and that each style worked for the specific meeting, because the meeting with Corinne was very singularly focused. And so I don't think she actually lost the gist of what anybody was talking about earlier, whereas this meeting focused on multiple angles, if that makes sense. So it made sense to give her multiple times to respond.
And Martha, I have to admit, I did not catch the name of her assistant DA. Do you know her?
Christine Bear.
Christine Bear?
Bear.
Okay.
I think I wrote down B-A-E-R. I don't know if that's
okay.
how you spell it.
Yeah, I don't know the spelling.
What do we need to improve on? What do we need to do better?
Jackie Baker, did you have something you wanted to say? I saw you go to say something once or twice.
I was just saying that I thought it went well, and I think after Rick, she started going into some of the other stuff that she was interested in, and then I think some of that stuff she would have talked about after Stacy, but she'd already covered it. So I thought it went well. And that makes it more almost like the conversation, because, you know, then we can, you know, kind of expand on one and they run into each other. I thought that went okay. And was it okay that I asked for questions before I had Jackie go? Because originally we were going to do that afterwards. But I looked at my clock and I'm like, we're going to have a ton of time left. So
Yeah, I think in future meetings, if they're going to be a half an hour, I think we should bring fewer issues to the table, because I think we went through those in rapid order. So I think rather, if it's a half an hour, focus more on one or two and focus on that. The other thing I made a note of is we all have to remember to stay on the topics. We had 4 real topics that we presented. We have to all channel our comments and our discussion right with those 4 items, I think.
Wasn't this supposed to be longer than a 30-minute meeting?
It
Supposed
was.
to be an
yeah.
hour.
Well, we had set aside an hour, but when I did email her, I said, we will respect your time. We know you're busy. If we can finish in a shorter period of time, we will. So yeah, it went fast. It could have been longer. So Rick, what are you saying? We need to be more focused on individual topics and not drift, or?
Yeah,
Okay.
there was one comment about, and Maggie, this is kind of directed at you. There was a comment about how police officers see their jobs. And I'm not sure that that really fit into the agenda items that the Fox River Valley Initiative has.
I was hoping maybe they could make that part of CIT training, that,
Yeah.
you know, it might be incorporated, because I think at the very least, we need to assess what's going on. And then if we need to work on that, we need to work on that.
Well, I
They
did.
need to work on
I appreciated the question, because to me it gave me kind of a sense of where her head was, and I know it was extemporaneous, and I had some extemporaneous questions I wanted to ask too. I mean, it's almost like you get somebody like that in the room, and you want to hear some more about their framework. So, I mean, I to your point, I understand, Rick, what you're saying. But we did open it up, and the question was, do we have any other questions? Because we were like, we had 25 minutes left. I know it seems like shooting off the hip, but I think in this case it worked. So it helped for me. I'm just speaking for myself.
Good.
Ann?
Agree. I was fascinated with Maggie's question, but I also, Carol, your entree, this may be a little more off the subject, but talking about affordable housing and how she tied it all back in with, yeah, it's really integral to this whole mental illness justice conundrum that if you don't have a house, and you probably don't have good food, and your kids may be elsewhere, it all fits together rather well.
I actually liked Maggie's question. That's a tough question to ask. That's not easy to ask that question. I'm glad you did, and I think we need to talk about that more. It's really a hot button issue, and I think we have to start looking at some of these hot button issues. So it's okay that you asked it. Are we better? I'm sorry, go ahead, Sue.
The only other thing I would say is, because we had time, I felt like it was good to try and get to know her more and hear her response to extraneous things, and not just focus on us. This is all about us, and we don't really care what you think. So I think it's good to bring in some other things that might appeal to her. And I think that was definitely a comment that would appeal to her.
I have a question about our training. Is this not something that officers are going through? That it's higher up? I always thought it was the officers in the street that are getting the critical incident training.
Sounds like it depends on department. Jackie, do you want to say something?
I think that most of the people that are getting trained are the police officers that are on the streets. I also, I mean, I think that there was a little bit of miscommunication there. They don't need to get recertified. They've been certified. We have trainers in Kane County. However, they have to replace them as they leave and that kind of stuff. So that might be an issue. I don't know. Rick, do you know any more about that? But we had to have all of our trainers in place. They came out and observed, what was it, 3 different things, and they were certified. We're certified, and we are allowed to train more trainers as we need them. But
And I'm not sure what her reference to COVID-19 was. I don't know if during this COVID-19 process, they are focusing more on the top officers or the managers of the police departments rather than the police department. I think somebody should have a conversation with Sheriff Hain, because if they're going to deliver it to the top level and not to the officers on the street, I think it loses tremendous impact, because it's the cops on the street that are meeting the clients that need the training.
and have we had 5 classes this year? You know how we usually have 5 classes every year. Have we had them this year?
That's what I think they were trying to say with COVID-19. I don't think they have.
Yeah, I heard
Yeah.
it mentioned
The
COVID.
reference was, that was how I heard it.
And the classes were up to 35 officers in a class. So that, I mean, 5 would have been a good number of officers trained.
Every day I read something which kind of makes me think, is this the direction we're going to keep going in with this? Is this going to be the most effective thing? Is this the right way to do this? And I don't know. I hope that she will be adaptable as she moves forward. You know, sometimes you get to a point in whatever you're endeavoring and you just realize this isn't working. Where do we go from here? So I hope she's adaptable to that. My last question is the one that we always ask: are we stronger as an organization at 448 than we were at 348? Did this meeting help to do that? So what do you think?
I believe so. I think for one thing, we have a new hospital that we have an inroad to, and a stronger case to build a CSU.
And especially with her, having met with her, Carl? Yep, okay. Anybody else?
I think we are, but there were a couple of things that I'm just kind of like, well, when do we get, like, do we know who to talk to at Del Nor? Like, that wasn't clear to me. I think it's really hard on Zoom because of the delay and not being able to like be together in the room and read the body language and stuff. So, you know, I think we maybe could have spoke up a little bit more, because like I kind of thought, well, maybe somebody else knows what she's talking about, because I don't know what she's talking about. Do we know who to talk to at Del Nor?
No, and you know what? I'm not about to guess. I'm not about to just jump in and make something up. That's not the right way to do it.
So that's like, that's huge. So that definitely needs a follow-up.
There were conversations with Del Nor and higher up in the Northwestern Hospital Organization 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah.
So if we could go back and capture that information, we did have meetings with some fairly high people in Northwestern medicine.
That stuff can change all the time though. So we need to know who to talk to now. And then the other thing that I kind of thought about is we like weren't using up all the time. Like, I think we did a good job of kind of going with where she was at. I mean, it's late in the day, it's later in the week. Probably, I don't know about y'all, but I'm kind of low energy right now. And she's also very new in her position. So, you know, like she's said, she's very interested in eliminating systemic issues that lead to criminal behavior. And then I thought, oh, I wonder what she's going to say. And then she didn't say anything else. And it's kind of like, well, you know, she's still pretty new. Maybe she's still kind of gathering that in, trying to kind of get an idea. So I think by us not like, you know, like just like hogging all her time, and by respecting her time like that, that was a good step in building a relationship with her. Because I imagine that future meetings will probably be longer as she has a better grip on what she's doing. Because we've been used to working with Joe McMahon, who was in the office for a very long time. Anyway,
that's a great next question. That's a great next question to ask her. How about these big picture items, you know? that you
Mhm.
talked about. Yeah, I agree. But the relationship is stronger. The relationship is good. It's solid, and we're better off for it, right?
I think so.
Okay.
Martha, do you think we're stronger?
Mm-hmm. Yep, I do. I think I mean, I know her very, very well. And I think that hearing what she heard today was very important. And I think it's a good relationship to build, and it'll be very important for her in her work, as well as for all of us and for our community. Everybody benefits in the end, but knowing her the way I do, I know that this relationship will be critical in helping her reach those goals that she does have. She's very much an idealist and needs people with knowledge and experience and you know, everything that we can bring to the table as an organization to help give her that bump.
Okay. Anybody else want to throw anything in there before we sign off?
I was just going to add that it's good we're trying to get to know her self-interest. That didn't come up in the conversation at all. But like she made a joke about her kids not having to walk by the detention center, and that gets at her self-interest, right? Which are her kids. And it's not that we don't all want a better world for everybody. That's why we're here. But there are some things that, and some people that are really important to us, right? And so her self-interest, besides being the state's attorney, is her family. And I think we learned that just from the casual interactions that we had on the screen. So it's important to pick up on those small things too.
Okay. All right. If that's it, thank you all for your participation. You guys did a wonderful job. Thank you. Give yourself a round of applause.
Take care.
Thank you.
Amanda and
Bye.
Carl, you staying on for 2 minutes? No? Yeah, there he is. I thought you left on us. Bye, Rick.
Bye.
Thank you, Jackie. You did wonderful.
Thanks.
Well, first off, I don't know if Amanda was part of that email chain. I read your piece today twice. And you, Carl, the guy right here.
Oh.
And I almost, you know, it's not in my place to say anything. I wish that some of the things that you brought up in that piece, we could have brought up with her. I'm interested to know about what she feels about that.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm
I
talking
do.
about?
Yeah, I didn't want to
No.
take it off the trail, and that wasn't something that we had planned or talked about. So
Right.
I mean, this is something that has to be. I mean, it's being member led.
Yeah.
You know, specifically in Elgin. But yeah, I think that's something that has to. I don't know. Organizations are kind of bringing up organically.
Yeah, we'll talk more to that, I'm sure, as we go forward. And I think you really should bring it up to the group because it was very powerfully written and you know, enough for me to read it twice. So, and I'll probably read it again. So anyway, so what did you think about this action? It was good, bad, indifferent? It was short.
Powerful. I think it was powerful. I think it was compact. We respected her time, so she knows that, you know, she doesn't have to like block out 2 hours to meet with us.
Okay. Yeah, I have to call Greg and give him the update on the two meetings as soon as we're done. So I'm just been scribbling some notes here. You know, that's the only question he ever wants to know about. Does it make us stronger? Okay, I get it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it obviously some of your leaders took some initiative. I think that's something that's significant. Maggie taking initiative and speaking out. Like you said, that's a challenging question to ask. So I can't imagine, you know, the things that went on in her brain for her to ask that about, you know, warriors, and so that was significant.
I've been thinking about it beforehand.
Right.
To have that question.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think it was. Yeah, I don't know, Amanda, what do you think?
Yeah, I think that the leaders really did show initiative. I think it was good. It was succinct. Like Carl said, we respected her time. Carl, you didn't know, but I messaged Ed when I saw it was going to be short, and I just said, let it go short. I was like,
Mhm.
let it run short. Don't try to extend it.
Mhm.
Thank her for her time and cut this off. He said, sounds good. So
Yeah.
I agree. Plus, she's new. So, like we all agreed, she's going to get deeper in this, and then she's going to come back to us, and she's going to remember that Fox River Valley Initiative took the time to meet with me when I was brand new,
Yeah.
before anybody knew who I was or what I was trying to do. And I think that relationship that we initiated today is going to benefit for the long haul, right? Build relationships before you need them and all that. This is
Yeah.
building the relationship before you need it.
So
You know,
kudos, Ed.
I thought
Yeah.
everybody did a real nice job to keeping it short, keeping it succinct. I'm really anxious to see if and when Martha Paschke takes on a little bit greater role. She is so smart. She is so good at what she does. She's going to be working in that department, it sounds like.
Mhm.
And I'm excited to meet with some of the people from St. Mark's too
Mhm.
on Friday and see what they think about some of these things too. So hopefully
Yeah,
we're
that's
going in a
why I
good
wanted to
direction.
hear what she had to say
Yeah,
because, you know, she knows her.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah. It's
Okay.
exciting, man.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. Anything else?
Nope.
We're
No,
good. All right. I'm going to, I think I said this on Monday, but I'm going to try to get a leaders meeting for the 11th of February. I'll talk to Greg about that now, and then we'll go from there. Okay.
Sounds good.
All
all
right.
right,
Thank you. Thank you both so much. I
Yeah.
appreciate it.
Thank you, Ed.
no
Bye-bye.
problem.
See you.